Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call to order the informational meeting of the Grosse Pointe Park DDA. Start with a roll call. Board Member Aslish. Board Member Corbin.
Here.
Board Member Farhat.
Here.
Board Member Horn.
Here.
Board Member Ashmar. Here. Board Member Turnbull.
Here.
And Ben Wixon, I am here. Board Member Ochop and Board Member Kilgus weren't able to make it today, and Mayor Hodges had a death in the family. He didn't hear. So she won't be here today either. So with that, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, absolutely. So the DDA, like TIFAs, are supposed to have an informational review of their activities twice a year. So what we do is a semi-annual review of the past 6 months. And so just wanted to kind of recap what's happened with the DDA in the last couple. As we discussed in the last meeting, we did, work with SEMCOG on a concept design rain garden. At first, we submitted. We're trying to receive funding. Initially, we were told we don't have any funding, and then SEMCOG let us know they could fund a design plan, which was a good first step. And then, we reapplied again, and we were able to get full funding of $54,000 for the rain garden concept design that is right in front of City Hall as you're walking to the link area. So that'll be to the right-hand side where the bricks are and those trees. That'll be a rain garden there. So that was fantastic news. And then also the in-kind support from the DDA. And also I'd like to thank the City Forester and the City Beautification Commission as well for helping out with this project. Specifically, City Forester Brian Coulter really helped lead this effort. I really got to thank him for that. And then later, who we're going to have tonight is Gima Studio. Again, part of our overall review of the City Hall, Public Safety Library, and our future parking lot. The DDA wished to explore an opportunity through an RFP for conceptual design of the area. What are we looking at that we can do in the future of this property? This building is, I believe, from like 1913 or 17, and it's evolved over the years. And I thought, and the DDA also, as this board, realized that let's look at some opportunities to improve walkability, beautification, and a gathering space for residents, and that especially as they're entering into our community. And then for our last meeting as well, the DDA proposed its fiscal year budget and then also adopted it with $119,000 from captured property taxes. As we discussed, there's a continuation of legal services. We do have McGraw Morris as our legal representation, green infrastructure, landscaping maintenance of the Jefferson Boulevards and Islands. And as an update, because it did come up as a question at our last DDA meeting, Backer Landscaping has held their price from last year. So the price stays the same for continuation. And then, because that budget item went from 20 to 34, was a question at our last meeting. So we were able to budget for Backer, but as well as part of Gima Studio's work, there's some leftover money that maybe we can start some small beautification efforts with the rest of our budget. So thought I'd give the board that good news.
Great.
And that's all I have for informational review. Any questions, comments?
When's that rain garden gonna start?
So because it's a federal grant, we have to go through another RFP process, getting bids out and going through there. So it could take some time, but we're hopeful that maybe we can start construction, maybe in the late summer, early fall. So most likely, and again, that's just usually with federal, with ballpark, getting everything done. So
Great.
exciting.
That's great. I'm really excited to see that rain garden going. All right. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn the informational meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so now we call to order the regular meeting of the Downtown Development Authority. So we'll start with the approval of the minutes from the April 18th, 2023 meeting. Does anyone make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay. We'll take a roll. Board Member Corbin,
Aye.
Board Member Farhat,
Aye.
Board Member Horn.
Aye.
Board Member Freshmar.
Aye.
Board Member Turnbull.
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Okay, so, do we have any public comment on agenda items? I don't think there's anybody hidden behind these boards, so that's a no. Do we have any unfinished business? Discuss them. Any new business? Oh, wait, Gina here, so you wanna kick it off? So
absolutely.
Gina, thanks for coming out again today. Really excited to look at all this.
Yeah, so I've been working at Gigi and Chandra with Gina Studio, and so again, as part of this process, there was a survey that went out, and Gina will be able to correct me, but I believe we had over 200 responses, more than that. 250, okay, so we had a lot of resident engagement, and as part of this, there was a survey, kind of like in our last meeting, where it was talking about elements of this. Would you like to see this on the campus? Would you not? And kind of create that sense of, what we're going to see. So we have two proposals, concepts in front of us tonight that, this was for the community or for us to be able to look at, what are some design elements that we do like, and maybe, some that we don't. And so after this, we'll be able to, take all of this back and, be able to present a final concept design. And so without further ado, I'll introduce Gigi and Chandra to us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us today. As Nick said, we've been working on the development of what we've been calling the revisioning of the Civic Campus to really tie into stronger circulation and place-making opportunities between all of the buildings here, between City Hall, the library, and the public safety building. So we have two approaches that we'd like to discuss with you, and I'll let Chandra do that. You'll also see perhaps some images that you might have seen before. This is also just in case we have other folks come in today, just so that we can continue to be transparent with the information that we've collected throughout the course of this process. As Nick said, we also have the survey going. It did close on May 1st, so we're also going to share with you all after this meeting an update of what we heard and just kind of the different degrees of information from residents who are interested. We also collected some email addresses from people who shared that they wanted to be further engaged. So that can be up to your discretion on how you relay that information. So you have it, it'll be at your disposal and for your discretion. So once again, thank you for being here. And once we're done, we invite you to come down if you can. And we'll just have an opportunity. We'll stand in front of the boards and kind of talk through some items.
Yeah, thanks. So we have two concepts. Concept A over here, it starts with a pedestrian plaza leading off of Jefferson.
Are we able to turn them around?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Oh, cool, okay.
Nano white, huh?
Yeah. And these are really designed to be read closer up, so it'd be great if after we go through them.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely come up,
Yeah, so for concept A, we have this pedestrian plaza that is trying to integrate the front of the city buildings with Jefferson to really draw more of an open connection between those two areas. And then we preserve some of the green space here, so there's still open green space for events or kind of casual activities. And then we also have a central plaza between the public safety building and the library, just to create more of kind of a central part of the campus. So then on this side, instead of the plaza, we have a more greenscape fronting Jefferson Avenue. So this would be, again, trying to preserve more open green area for those members of the community that really enjoy it as a green lot right now. So creating a more active green space in front of the City Hall building to make that a better utilized space. And then really envisioning this larger parking lot here as a mixed use event space that could be blocked off to create more of a plaza feel using movable planters and seating arrangements, when you don't need that additional parking. And then when you do need the additional parking, there'd be an option to, move either to the central civic plaza here or to other quarters of the parking lot to provide that additional space.
So when you say plaza, on this, concept A, describe what that means, from a pedestrian standpoint.
Sure, so I think we're thinking about this, the difference here is at Jefferson. In this concept, we're looking more at a hardscape edge. So there is not a strong delineation between the sidewalk where you catch the bus and the kind of open hardscape place where we would have trees and benches and more native plantings and things like that. So we're thinking about this more in more of a traditional, if you will, like a boulevard type of color scene that really helps to leverage that kind of urban feel that is Grosse Pointe Park, but also with a green impact. That one, that concept, thinking about the green space, the same amount of space would still be allocated for that frontage, but it would be more planting, more grasses. There would still be benches, but there would be less hardscape. This presents maybe more flexible spaces along in terms of what those types of programmed events might be closer to Jefferson, while that one allocates some of the more programmed events more on the parking lot, making the parking lot a little bit more utilized. That's not to say that this parking lot cannot do that as well. It's just how we're kind of shifting and moving people around. This in case prioritize preserving this as a parking area versus that one makes the parking potentially very secondary to how it might be used.
And are the number of parking spots the same in both?
Very similar.
Similar, but the target is still the 50. That's part of the part.
So you can accommodate that with green space? Both of them accommodates it?
Yes.
Okay.
One thing you'll also notice is this top area on both of them, we've reconfigured the parking lots to the north. And that was something, and really trying to think about the overall circulation of the site. The plaza, the civic experience is not just at City Hall. It's when you drive through, it's when you drive over, it's when you drive through the alley. And so we really wanted to make that to see if we could actually squeeze out some more parking spaces and eliminate any confusion. So in some of our analysis, which we'll also share with you all, there are some critical pinch points where people and cars come into conflict with each other. And so we wanted to make sure that in addressing, in trying to provide public space, we're also addressing some of those conflicts and using the landscape to solve those issues. So the target is to replace any parking spaces to make sure that stays the number that we have. And I think we actually were able to squeeze in some more, but also to make sure that we're hitting the target in reference to the parking plans today. Yes.
So on this one right there, so the part that you call the like the green part in front of the library, no, the other way, that way to your left, my left. Yeah, there we go. So I just want to understand, is that that was parking before, right?
Yes.
And that was turned into green space?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that takes up about, so that the pattern is still exactly the same on that one, right? That they drive up and.
It's the same especially for the purpose of public safety, knowing that we have the large overhead doors and we need to access it from this way. So it does maintain that loop, but it creates a more centralized place to hang out. And this is greener. So yes, so we do lose these spaces, but by making the spaces along the library more orthogonal and adding spaces here and
Okay, no, I like it. I just make sure I understood it.
oh, for sure.
Okay.
I can't see. Does that one have a parking lot or is that?
That one does have.
There's still parking.
There's still have sectional parking, but it grabs, it makes the entrance to this building a little bit bigger. So, but here, I'll just be,
There you go.
I'll be
Oh,
able
I
to.
see, I see, yeah.
So there's.
So this is where we are here.
Yeah.
This is where we come through. We've expanded this to be more of an entrance, a stronger plaza
Mhm.
for the buildings.
Yeah.
We keep our parking here. So we turn in. So from a public safety standpoint, we can come in and come out. But we also have their designated spots on this side.
Okay, so there's no loop.
Yeah, loop's
There's
gone.
no
The loop is gone.
The loop is gone.
Loop's gone.
And we use the loop to get more parking.
Got
Sure,
it,
sure.
okay.
No, it's, I see what you did. These are really interesting designs. I don't know if anyone else, I was not expecting either of these, and it's really interesting to see these. because
So how do you
they're very
get back
unique.
out?
Get back out where? To the front?
Say you went in to park, you can't go much, oh, way up there. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
And that helps to kind of take traffic off of Jefferson. There's some challenges with the sight lines coming, if you are coming here, especially when the bus is there.
Yeah.
So while we want to keep that clearance for fire safety, and it still is possible to make this exit, we want to start to channel people this way so that people take that crosswalk and hit that light. And that's safer for pedestrians and safer for drivers too. And those driveways do that.
And the good news with both of the designs too is that the fire trucks and all the equipment exit out on the Maryland side. And for whenever they need to back, they actually have to back in on the Maryland side. They're not, any of the fire vehicles are never entering the Jefferson side. So both designs are built to accommodate that from a public safety standpoint for exiting out to Maryland.
And I would say too, like this pathway is still two-way traffic, so you could still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Both, the one up there, because right now, one
Yeah,
is,
both of these
are they,
drives are two-way, wide enough to be two-way traffic.
because there used to be two, but is the one that goes just for the police officers, is that the one that's the only one? Aren't there
So
two?
we've consolidated.
So you just made it one, right? One entrance? Yeah, because I'm from Maryland.
There are three entrances
Three,
on
okay,
this
so,
side for parking. There's one here, and there's here. That creates a lot of challenges for people. We found out that actually over 50% of people that come to City Hall walk. So, and they're coming here weekly. So you have a lot of foot traffic of people who are actually not driving. So if people are coming, especially from the neighborhoods, and they're coming here, we have three very close opportunities for contact with cars that maybe we don't need. And so in order to maybe create something a little bit safer, we prioritize one entrance that both lots can use. And then by closing these off, we gain more parking spaces.
okay, and the one I think is one way, which makes it tricky. I know someone who got a ticket. They didn't
I
realize.
think this is
So,
the
yeah.
larger.
Yeah, right now it's a very narrow area,
Okay.
right in between those two lots, and so their proposals would expand.
Can you show us the walking paths on both of them?
Before you get to that one exit, does it line up with the street like that goes to St. Ambrose, or is it?
Hampton?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
It doesn't align with
It
the
doesn't.
street perfectly. If we change that, it's a little bit wonky in terms of getting the parking spaces that we need. Will end up being a little bit too short on one side, and it won't be the right dimensions for the parking spaces that we need. So
You think
there
that's
is a
bad?
job.
Just curious. I do sometimes park over there when I go to St. Ambrose, so I
Okay,
just
yeah.
was curious like how that was gonna work. Because that probably is one busy time that you might have there.
Sure. One thing we
Sunday
can
morning.
put that we are not showing just because it's a little bit out of bounds, but we can also make some recommendations for clear crossing blocks here.
It's a great
So
idea.
there is a job, but it doesn't have to feel that way if we have proper lines for where the pedestrian should go. So that can create a signal for both cars and for people that this is an active intersection. To your point, that people are potentially parking here to do other things. To your question, pedestrian circulation. Okay, so let's drive together.
Okay.
So we could be walking down Jefferson this way. And in this case, I have all of this space to meander through because it's hardscape. And in that case, a little bit less because there's more green space. I actually might feel more comfortable to kind of sit and hang out on the grass or something like that. I have that opportunity here. If I'm coming up here toward the library, we have this pathway that just kind of cuts through. maintains that green space that a lot of people like. People use this, they bring their dogs here, they bring their kids here. And then we can continue to go up if we're going inside the campus. This is a small plaza that exists for the library. Just making that a little bit bigger, we've taken some of the parking away, just to kind of give this more of an intentionality. As far as pedestrian traffic, we can continue forward to go to a parking spot, or we can come across where we stop in the central plaza to keep going to the city hall building. So this is the primary circulation area for pedestrians. If you were to park here, we do have sidewalks that guide you back to getting back to city hall and back to the library.
In both instances, there's a walking path between the library and the parking lot, is that correct?
Yes, along the entry drive,
Along
there's a sidewalk.
Well, I'm talking about like horizontally between the, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's what that is.
We'll have that buffer.
Okay, perfect.
One thing that you probably can't see from this distance, but is also on both, we have a little legend here, but we are proposing for this to be repaved. And in that repaving, we might choose a different type of material, something a little bit more interesting. So we could do asphalt, but it could also have a look and feel that gives it that kind of plaza quality. So there's a kind of, the idea is that it signals to the drivers to slow down. So it might have a little bit of a rumbly feel, but it also allows for that kind of seamless feeling of walking through a public space. So we do have sidewalks because we want people to feel safe, but in the event that we're having auto show day, right? We can still spill out into these areas and it will feel like it's contiguous. And that's the case in both of our concepts. And in that one, and specifically with the parking lot kind of helps to kind of create that nucleus of that kind of spill out activity. So it's possible everywhere. And you'll see that we have kind of different moments of paving that help to signal how you get across the street as a pedestrian. So there's some little dots in here that show you that this area is connected to this area because there's a crossing here that is clear. So once we get into the our final deliverable is a more photorealistic rendering, and that'll be a little bit clearer how that comes through.
So that one, the city hall, everything in front of that is plaza, right?
Yes, yes. This triangle, it's.
I meant the other way, I'm sorry, like toward Jefferson. Oh, like, so that's all, okay. And then the green space, so little kids don't run out in the street, that's closer to the,
And we still can keep the garden that the library has, we can essentially expand it and add some trees, make it more beautiful. We are relocating that butterfly garden into a better place that can be enjoyed. And that could either happen at the library or in some of these darker, you'll see Chandra's illustrated these darker green zones, which would identify more robust planting opportunities. And that includes the biosphère.
So the dark green is, like for Lake Point, is a lot of it. So their view is tree, like
up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Like along Lake Point is this street over here? If you go up, like right there,
Yes.
are those trees? No, higher, the dark green?
or is that just like that?
The dark green is just vegetation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I have, like they're not gonna be able to see the parking lot so much.
Yeah, so we do have street trees along there as well, so there'd be trees spaced every 30.
Oh, that's what that is,
The
okay.
Circle for the trees.
Oh, thank you, okay. All right,
That's
all right.
canopy trees? Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So we incorporated the ones that are already existing on the site, and then we just added other ones where the space is appropriate, to add more trees. Oh, excellent.
Oh, so there's a lot of trees. Okay,
All those
nice,
circles are
nice.
trees. All the circles.
Okay.
Yeah. And we apologize that we didn't do that earlier. Thank you.
Forgive me if you mentioned this already, but are there any stormwater features, bioswales in the plan?
At this time, other than the one in front of City Hall, we haven't prescriptively defined anything as bioswale. So if that's something that we want to elevate, we can identify locations where we think that would be appropriate. I think it just kind of depended on the goals that we wanted to identify, but we could see an opportunity to do that here, pitching the water from the parking lot here, and maybe some other opportunities in here. I would say though, we have a lot of surface areas, so we don't have a lot of green space to manage all of the runoff on
Sure.
site, but we can do some.
And then have you placed in the mailboxes?
We have not specifically placed in the mailboxes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
we'll
super
definitely
important.
do that.
Yeah,
We're fine.
that's why I was worried about the loop. I wanna go mail my
Yeah.
letters and come back
Yeah.
home, found that, but you put it right.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely in the online survey that came up a lot, so it will be located
Fantastic.
conveniently, yeah.
So around the library, like, I don't remember there being green space over there. Is that something we're adding or is there and I just never noticed it? Along Lake Point and then along the.
There is some
Yeah,
green
there
space
is.
there, there's
Oh,
not
okay.
too much, it's
Okay.
just kind of grass right now, but yeah. there's-
Oh, okay. I
a
guess I
little
just
bit.
never
And-
saw,
And
okay.
ironically, I think Gigi and I were walking it, but at the very top, we didn't realize there's a green path, that goes from Lake Point, actually, can
Oh,
almost
nice.
go
Okay.
to, it's kind of, I don't actually, when you and I
think
walked,
I think it was technically private.
it was kind of private, but it could end up actually being a space to go from Lake Point along a fence
The
line,
Maryland
to
or the
right
alley.
there,
And then
right.
onto, yeah.
So that's a potential, it seems like something we could work with the library potentially, and making that part of space walking through and that.
Yeah.
So,
I will say there are additional trees in front of the library that we didn't include because we want to do in future landscaping there. So it is green space, but it's not
Right.
green space.
And what is the difference between the back lot, the way you've got that configured?
there is no difference.
Yeah, these two are
Just the trees?
These two backlots are actually the same.
I'm just
Although
looking
I
at the
would say-
circles.
Oh, the circles in the, I see what you're saying, how they
Yeah.
get into both parking lots, those are closer than these ones, but it's probably just.
You have more circles.
There are a couple more trees on that side, but virtually the organization of the.
Yeah. Got it.
And I would say that one, we sort of did a last minute addition of adding a sidewalk from Maryland across based on the online survey feedback. And that would be something we probably incorporate in the
Okay.
final plan, we just didn't put it on these options. Because there were so many people that said they walked that route down Maryland to the library.
You've done a really good job of incorporating a lot of the wish list.
Yeah.
So excellent work.
Yeah, walkability was really important in our discussions and walkthroughs of, just again, seeing the foot traffic of where everyone's going and hearing the statistic on how many people are actually walking or biking to City Hall was quite shocking. I mean, I see it, but to know 50% of survey results, that's massive.
Is there a bike rack?
I have a library, right?
There is a bike rack, and then we do have a small one from City Hall. Yeah.
If you were to place those mailboxes, I mean, assuming, let's just take the one that still has like a loop preserve to drive around. Is there a way to put that in the area in front of City Hall?
Yes.
Or even on the exit, on the way out of the entire plaza? I'm just curious.
So right now, when you drive, you move around and the mailboxes are here, right? And then you come back out. So we could maintain that location, if that's preferred, and especially in this scheme where we have the loop. There's also an opportunity to, maybe have it a little bit closer to the library as part of the place to slow down and drop off, and then
Okay.
keep going toward here. Just thinking about, but
It's gonna
I
grab
could drive, I personally think that green space in the location of the mailbox would be, like where it is works really well.
Yeah, it works nicely.
Yeah.
It's not changing.
And the idea, that's true. No, I think that would probably be ideal too. As far as the lot, well, I guess it would be in either one of these, but more concerned with this one because there isn't other parking closer to City Hall's entrance. That lot, Nick, would be open all the time, right?
Yes.
Okay, because the reason I'm thinking of that is because you probably have to designate like disabled parking in the first view. Because at least here, well, now there's parking right up front, basically. But there, it's gonna be, well, I guess it'll be across the
For
drive.
the
It's a good
library or
point.
City Hall?
Well, I'm kind of thinking
Because
of
the
both.
library, they
Library
could-
will have its own.
Right along the side.
Yeah, I'm thinking more for City Hall.
Yeah, you need parking, that's
I
a
think
good
that's a
comment.
good point. We can
Yeah.
definitely reconsider the location. And maybe it's just only a few based on what's required.
Well, I mean, even having it right, just the first few spaces might be okay. I mean, I don't know if there's like I don't know what
We would just have to verify the
Yeah,
distances.
yeah.
There is a required distance.
Sure.
That makes
to the
sense.
front doors.
Cool.
There's no way to get that, the loop in that design, right? Nowhere to incorporate.
I mean, I think what we're picturing
I
from
get
this is hearing the feedback on what you like from both of the designs and kind of combining it into one that can get as much done as possible.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question about process and and community? Does the community get a chance to look at these two and feedback on these two? What, remind me how the,
We did have, there was the survey online, which
Right.
they compiled that information. This opportunity here was part of that, process again for residents to be able to provide their feedback. These were in the packets as well online. And so I guess from a process standpoint, we're kind of here at the
Okay.
moment right now.
Sure. That makes sense.
But obviously, I think with the email list we do have, and as the final design comes around, there can always be some incorporations and thoughts. But
did we receive any feedback on the materials that were sent out from any residents regarding these two options?
there was in the survey, no. This was just asking about elements, what you'd like to see of the campus and everything.
So
But
these-
these actual concepts did not. They weren't in the survey, so
Okay.
these were completed after the survey.
And as a
Based on the
result of-
survey, as a result of the comments from the public.
But since since our agenda was posted, there were no comments from.
No.
Okay.
And then will the residents get to see these two?
Yeah, so these are online right now.
Okay.
And then, when they finish up their final design, we'll be posting that in packets and as well have it available online for review and post at the library as well, for thoughts.
That's great.
And then there's also to leave these here, if we think that we would get some type of traffic, these are available if you want to.
That's great.
Cool.
I think what's nice is you can kind of take some great features about both and
Yeah.
merge them into a concept C.
I'm really just surprised that we were able to define an actual sizable green space in this one. That just kind of blew my mind. I was not expecting to see that in any of these designs. And I think it's really great that we were able to do that. And just personally, I really like that, but the buffer between Jefferson and the buildings with that kind of boulevard feel that's there. That's really interesting. And it gives it it really gives it kind of a city vibe as you'd see in any downtown area, So that's really kind of cool too. I always worry because the front is so unused right now. That's like you would be using it because
Right,
people be
yeah,
walking it
that's
every day. And not to say that wouldn't be the case here, but I'd hate to see that happen.
Well, that's kind of what it is now, right? The green,
Yeah, it's kind of like that right now. I will say, just from a maintenance standpoint, I'll speak on the city behalf. Certainly, both elements, I think, there's definitely reduced maintenance there. Obviously a cost on the incorporation and the very front, the design in the front of City Hall too, kind of keeps the green space, some elements, park benches as well. And so there'd be some minimal maintenance that kind of keeps it as is with additions, and that would be a, more longer term thought out solution. But, as we talked about, there could be pavers, that could be permeable as well in that front. And like you said, it really kind of creates that city vibe and feel. And something that Chandra and I were talking about today was, go by Mac Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, we got music on the lawn or the flower sale. And so you could really,
you could do
in
that
both
there.
of these,
Yeah.
you really
Yeah,
could
no,
start to,
These are very creative. Honestly, I was curious what I was, knowing that these would be coming, I was not expecting. Just the way you were able to get these spaces at the back of the lot was really cool too. Which allowed for that front area to be totally reimagined. I think, we were thinking it was only gonna really be kind of like that. I think all of us were thinking that. I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think we all thought it was gonna be mostly a lot and we'd do the best we could, but that is just totally different and that's really, really cool, so.
Yeah, I like that one.
I will say, yeah, at least my opinion, I think of the added parking lot, I think that one might be the best, especially from a cover standpoint. Again, just
Yeah.
how it's incorporated and then it's easily walkable to the city hall, and the library from there. And so for those that are driving by Jefferson, you're seeing less of a parking lot, from this one rather than that one. That's just my opinion, but.
Yeah, it's kind of tucked in
It's
there.
kind of tucked in, back
It's
away.
nice.
It's nice and, it fulfills, requirements, set for us.
Yes.
Is there a bus shelter, in the plan?
Yeah, so we're picturing the bus stops still staying the way they are now. So we didn't design a bus shelter. We placed benches by the bus stops, but we're kind of,
Okay,
we definitely would encourage a bus shelter if that's something that.
There's one bus shelter on Maryland right there. It's got solar panel right now, so anyone visiting can charge their phones and that. I've seen in some communities too, they actually have like a living,
green roof.
green roof above it.
Yeah.
That could be something really cool.
Yeah.
Possibility, for maybe one of the other bus shelters.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's great also because it looks as though you're able to do this in phases too.
That's what I do appreciate too from this is, is the, city, we're looking at very strongly at least probably starting to resurface, just because we have a lot of the concrete under the structural integrity is in very bad shape right now. And from a tripping hazard standpoints that, we can do that and then take each one of these elements and start budgeting them out and forecasting each and every year. From a fiscal management standpoint of adding each element, the DDA, as well as some major local street funds, could potentially help out in our tree maintenance budget. So that's the good news of just being able to take each one.
Question regarding concept A. Even though public safety vehicles exit the public safety courts building onto Maryland, in the event of an emergency, would those vehicles be able to back out from the doors into that space? So the full
So this.
fire truck would be able to back out and turn and proceed out to Jefferson.
We can confirm that radius, but this area is no greater than what exists right now for the parking. So
But that's grass with a curb,
it will be a curve here.
trees.
So we can confirm the clearance in terms of, especially the overhead clearance that we'll need. But as far as the distance, we be maintaining that in common.
And the officers do park right in front of their building. So.
So I think the only difference is that team offers designated parking for the officers.
Oh,
This
okay.
one does not. This prioritizes a specific lot for officers and for public safety. This would mean that this would really be their consolidated lot. Right now, they have a kind of a jigsaw of some angled parking and 90-degree parking. And so that in itself, in terms of just trying to back up and do what you need to do, may not be the most appropriate. And so by regulating that with 90-degree parking, we're able to add more spaces, but then by fully enclosing this, we can actually make it appear as though it's off limits to people who are not public safety.
But what I meant is the police cars are in front of the building, just right
That's right.
the other way. The other way. Yeah. They always have their cars right in front.
Right.
So even if we closed off that second from the top lot above public safety, well, that right below, that one there, where you're talking about possibly closing that off, are we still net positive on spaces given the redesign of the back lot?
Yeah, we are still maintaining the existing, so, and we kind of have ranges, so we'll make sure that our numbers are on point.
Okay.
But, when I say close off, we just really mean creating a stronger buffer around.
Okay.
So there's no fence, there's no gate, but the idea is that based on who parks there, that just sends a signal that this is not for, Mr. Johnson to just pull up into the public safety lot, he should probably go here if he's gonna spend some time at City Hall, or he has these other options.
Sure, okay.
If he's gonna spend a shorter amount of time.
The assumption is if there was an event where you needed the extra parking, people would still park there if there was no other parking available. So you would still have that number, but it wouldn't be people's first choice.
Right.
Okay.
And that keeps it prioritized for the sake that you don't have to compete for parking spaces with the public.
And Nick, will you show these to the library?
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah, so we'd love you to just come up and kind of look
Yeah,
at it
you
in more
can-
detail and write your own
If you have any other
comments.
comments, well, of course, we'll be here if you have any other questions, or if anything just it feels too far away to see. But like I said, we can leave these here. We'll take our pictures to document our notes, but if you do want to keep the boards because you want to run across the street and talk to a committee at the
Yeah.
library or public safety, or if people are coming into the building to pay bills and they just happen to see it and want to know more information.
Yeah.
We can leave these here. And then you'll also see, these are pieces of information you've seen already, but that's also just to keep the conversation going and.
You want to re-vote for anything?
Yeah. You change your mind about anything.
I think it would be particularly helpful for us if you are writing comments on sticky notes and can stick them on the
Okay.
like elements of each plan that you like the best, so we can really get a sense of like how many people would support which elements being incorporated.
So, like this parking lot down here, will you be able to get out to the sidewalk? Because isn't part of this idea for the parking lot to be able to get to this, big? Yeah, so this is, all the way up here. So this is.
I did, I like the aspect of the green complex to your point. I think it is
So this is like open green space, right, all of that land is green.
But you could get out to the street.
Yeah, so this would go, so you get off at the bus stop there, you would have the corner pathway out.
So like in this part right here, which first like
Right, yeah.
this part there,
Yeah.
this part.
Not just for the library.
Yeah, yeah.
This.
Yeah, all of these things.
It was mentioned the sale of two cities over here, right?
Show that it's.
Yeah, so right now I've got it going to window points, but I can certainly change it up.
Change its direction.
Change the direction of the sale. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's, where's it going at window point?
So you know where like there's that little center thing, we'll probably move it a little bit, because that's where the Christmas tree goes in that area, there's. And then one thing we did talk about is we need for future like public art displays.
Yeah, I kind of like
This is.
this
for
side.
future public art here.
And then
Oh, yeah, right there, yeah.
The other
Be a
side,
focal point for public art.
the plaza.
I really didn't.
You know what I mean? Yeah, then you would get, I feel like this is gonna have a big area
Yeah, these green.
for festivals.
So those are benches.
Benches.
Oh, okay. They're just in the color, so it's state idea.
Trains.
Okay, so the idea was we can have some really like cool, long benches, maybe they're amorphous.
Just like, yeah.
Yeah, me too, this,
Yeah, this.
And this,
I
yeah.
saw that, I was like, my mind was.
Yeah, this is nice, it's adding, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is so.
And that kind of helps their. The butterfly garden, you can just kind of see how it,
Oh, that'd be nice.
how it meanders
What's
a
that
little
rain,
bit.
what's the rain garden be? The rain garden is right here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
where's the rain garden?
The rain garden on this is right here.
Oh.
So that's your current entrance into City Hall right now, and then the rain garden. Yep, so it's still there. And like we've got bicycle racks right here right now.
So I was saying, I kind of like the other parking lot, but I like this. So I was thinking about combination of that over here, keeping that. Just because you have a larger space to have, you know, some type of farmer's market or
I feel like
whatever.
customizable parking lot they have with that one.
Yeah, but I do think this is.
I like the green space away from Jefferson.
Do you?
Yeah, I really like that.
I do think that is.
There's compelling, I do like the parking lot aspect of that one, but there's just, I think, more pros to kind of.
Looks like it's a bigger green space, right?
It does.
It does.
Yeah,
Oh,
that one's kind of like all the way around,
Yeah.
because the kids like, I mean, except for in front of the building, but I like doing something different in front of the building instead of what it is now, it's just kind of
Yeah,
nothing.
I like that there's benches too. I mean, the idea that there's gonna be benches.
So you could do something similar to that customizable parking lot with this one too, in a way, I mean.
Yeah, we can add movable planters, they could just be on wheels that might take a little bit of muscle
Yeah,
to move around. But yeah, it can be as a place of storage, you can occupy, they can maybe occupy 1 or 2 spaces, but then if you need to move them, they can be moved anywhere.
The chief will
And I
get a
would
chance.
like about that idea that like, you can also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, public safety definitely gets a chance to look at this. And,
Library, public safety.
yeah, library, public safety, absolutely. Yeah, you know, like I was talking about support, especially for the fire vehicles to get out here and then especially from a circulation standpoint, because all the squad cars are right here. So,
But in the event, let's say Maryland gets between, it's gotta shut
You don't want
down.
any
Sewer.
people coming through.
Vehicles can't get out.
right.
They have to be able to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Yeah,
No, exactly. Actually, I'm gonna make a mistake.
I like.
No, it's just.
What was the comment?
Yeah, the loop I think
Jim
is
had a
really
good comment,
important.
so, and it actually goes along with
Yeah, no,
future
I think
infrastructure
that it
upgrades
was
and that, so in the case of Maryland, let's say we got the water main, the sewer main,
There's a mailbox,
public safety
yeah.
vehicles right now,
It's
that,
a brush bill.
if they have,
Yeah,
if
it's
they
in
can't
the
go
same
out
spot
here,
right
can
there.
they safely go out
Right.
here, so.
I mean, design would even just like.
Where it,
Yeah, yeah.
it needs to be a
That's what I'm
destination, but it doesn't
thinking.
have to
Yeah,
like
a
you're
little
like,
bit,
they're like
just so
your
in
mail out
case
the
of-
window.
Yeah.
That'd probably be,
That's your point about emergencies getting out, yeah.
no,
That's a great point.
Yeah.
A house is on
We
fire
forget about
on
this thing.
Bishop, and
Oh, yeah.
Maryland's under construction.
Right, we're stuck.
Right.
The big one.
Austin Powers, right?
We can't get the fire engine out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very, very good.
So yeah, with this, with that design too. Or even just do.
We have some other images.
From cut there, so they have to have.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's, yeah, that could be good too.
What's that?
Lower curb cut on the,
And make sure there's no trees there and just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and good thinking, people, good thinking.
This is where all the business gets done, and, you know, and that is that actual.
And then did you guys both notice like a focal point of public art, so, you know, they got a little, paintbrush there, and there's another one over there, so you have,
And I like where this
oh yeah,
is.
sail two cities. or-
I like this.
spots.
Great.
And then city
Yeah.
council just approved last night,
Cool, but you
walkway,
can.
that walkway that's there right now for people passing through it, so.
I
Right now, it's the
been great,
concrete's all buckled and messed up,
you know,
and so
everyone's
I
been
wanna
really.
make sure there's no tripping hazards and fix that.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
So, so literally right.
Behind the hedges.
Okay,
Yeah, behind the hedges right now, you know, people pass through.
Actually.
You know, and so that's always a spot.
What do you like that space right in front, future site of the Sizeland Fountain?
Okay, cement in front.
Yeah.
And then.
I didn't see that in our budget.
I didn't see that, no, I did not see that in the DDA budget for the
We call him Spendy over here.
Yeah. Careful.
I said future.
Yeah. Jamie, I always think about for the, I don't know if you looked at the parking lot in there, this is where food trucks,
Yeah.
other thing, like we talked about that future lot. This, I think, is the best when it goes to future engagement, food trucks, activities, you know, I just wish I- You have to stage.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
I would, that one's just
I'm gonna
the
take my
walkway goes in the middle of the
picture.
green.
It goes
Leave the
across.
line, okay?
Yeah, like on the angle. I even like that.
Great work.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent ideas.
Thank you for your comments. Yeah. Your feedback is welcome again. And what we'll do is we'll try to bring inside some of the merits of the goal, come up with a concept, share that, and we'll then move on to the kind of more, the pretty part of the, making the kind of final photorealistic graphics to that. So that will support more to further your efforts for the
This is great, thank you.
That's great, thank you.
I think we're done. The question, do you want to keep these or should we take these?
I think it would be nice to actually keep it at City Hall on the entrance for, a week or two, or however long we can talk, but, no, I think that would be awesome to keep it in front of there. I'll put a little, information of the interesting note.
We will keep ours just so we don't get biased opinions.
Sure.
People can have their own comments.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Might get a reoccurring theme too.
Yeah, that way people, sometimes if people see something good and they don't get inspired to write them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think the other question is whether you want the precedent images too, or if you just want the concept.
I would think just a concept. Yeah.
Don't mind us if we cleaned up.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items. So there's no comment over here. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Nicely done.
All right.
This was fun.
Yeah, this is.
Fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Nick,